Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon to everyone. I take immense pleasure in welcoming all the students for this exclusive webinar on the psychology of marketing, what makes you click buy. My name is Sanaya. I am a third year student at Flame University, and my major is psychology with a minor in theater. Flame's Upskill primary goal is to assist high school students in developing critical skills for their learning and growth. In this series, you will explore areas outside of your course, which will help build your profiles for higher education. Please note, attendees who complete the entire session will be given a letter of participation. You will receive the letter by next week. I'll post a link to the feedback form in the chat section at the end of the meeting. You must fill it in order to receive your letter of participation. This is a required procedure. Today's session will be taken by Professor Preeta Menon. She is an associate professor of advertising and branding at Flame University. She holds a doctorate in management studies from IIT Madras, along with degrees in marketing and advertising from the University of Mumbai and XIC. Her research focuses on consumer neuroscience and experimental studies in advertising and branding, with publications in reputed international journals. With over 13 years of academic and industry experience, she has worked with brands like Taj Hotels, Louis Philippe, Van Hussein, and 3M during her advertising career. She has taught at leading institutions including Symbiosis, Great Lakes, and Christ University, and is a visiting faculty at universities in Germany. Professor Menon has also mentored startups through CII's India Innovation Initiative and consulted for Mahindra and Mahindra, Bajaj Auto, and Evonik Technologies on consumer insights and brand strategy. It is a pleasure to have you amongst us, ma'am. I am confident that the students here will feel more knowledgeable by the end of the session. Now we'll move over to you. Let me just share the PPT.
Thanks, Shania. So before we begin, I just want you all to know that the only way that we can communicate is through chat, which is the chat box here, or the Q&A box. Yeah. So when I ask you questions, you can drop your answers in the chat box. And if you have any questions for me, you can drop that in the Q&A box. So what I'm going to do for you is that every now and then we take a break. Yeah, so after 15-20 minutes, we take a break and then we look at your questions and try and answer them. So don't wait to ask your questions till the end of the session. You can drop your question in and we can see your name. So we will go with the question and the answer at every 20 minutes or half an hour of this session. Is what I said right now clear? You can put a yes or a Y in the chat box to say that you understood what I'm saying. Great. Adi, Mansi. Okay, Anandi, Prisha, Dhruv. Okay, thank you. Great. So this is how we'll operate. When I ask a question, you can answer that in the chat box. Yeah. And I can see your answers, so then we'll be able to interact.
Before we begin, can everyone share the screen again? Can everyone see the screen? Can you just put a yes in the chat box?
Yep.
Perfect.
So
Let's
can I.
begin.
Yes. I can see too. So what we're going to do today, I have spent, as Shania was already saying, I've spent close to 25 years in the field of advertising, first as a practitioner and then as a professor of the subject. So I bring both, knowledge of practice, how we do it in the advertising industry, and then later on studying it more carefully as a science, as from the lens of communication sciences and researching on topics related to advertising. So that's been largely my sort of history into this. And the journey has been fantastic because there's always something new. There's always something fresh. I'm going to share some ads with you. Some of them are my favorites from years ago, and some of them are really new. And all of them are relevant because of their powerful storytelling. So let's begin this session with the hope that, it's going to be both knowledgeable for you and as well as it's interesting. Yeah. So that's my only aim, that it's both of these things. Shania, can we go to the next slide? Well, so when we spoke, so there is a caveat here that we speak about buy, right? But buying is just one action of the whole marketing process or what advertising wants to achieve. But generally, when we speak about advertising, what advertising has as its power is the power to influence. Yeah. So this art of persuasion or the art of getting people to do as you want them to do is essential in advertising. And it taps into emotions, it needs a lot of creativity. And therefore, when you bring all this together, you see a change in consumer behavior. There can be various kinds of changes in consumer behavior. Like I told you, buying is one of them. Yeah, you get somebody to buy a product. What other kinds of changes in consumer behavior can you think of? What else other than buy can you think of that advertising can influence? I'm looking at the chat box now, so now's the time to put some answers there. Trust in the company. Adi says trust in the company. Great. That's fantastic. Yes. Trust is what ultimately leads to buying. Without trust, people will not. The way we view the market, loyalty, brand loyalty, yes. Brand loyalty is once again, the fact that you not only buy once, but you keep buying again and again. So when you have a customer who you don't need to persuade anymore, then you call them brand loyal. Yeah. One of my professors once told me that when you ask somebody why they like your brand and they don't have any answer, they say, I don't know, but I really love this brand. That's the level you want to reach. When the customer themselves don't know why they like your brand. Yeah. So it's like blind love. So one wants that. Quantity and quality of product, preference of products, shed some light on social issues. Okay. Okay, reputation. Right, great. So I'm getting some correct answers. So some of the other things that we want customers to do apart from buying and buying more of what they're buying is also to influence others. So if tomorrow, if you're not going to buy my product, but you're going to tell 4 of your friends to buy it, to visit a restaurant, you may not come every day, but if you every day or once a week tell your friends that, hey, here's this fantastic restaurant, you should go, I had a great time, then that is also great for the brand. So when you are, uh, engaging in advocacy, even if it's not purchase, that's also great. Trisha, I can see your hand raised, and I would like to take your question, but I'd suggest that you drop it in the Q&A box and we'll take it in a short while. Yeah. Thanks, Trisha. Can we go to the next slide? Well, so the first thing we talk about when we talk about persuasion is emotional connection. So research has found that if you get people to think, yeah, the more you think, the more different answers you may land on. So when you put pressure on your cognitive ability, you do things differently every time because your mind is rationalizing and you take decisions based on that. But if you rely on your feelings or your emotions, you tend to make the same decisions again and again. I'm not saying this, research has found this to be true. Yeah. And so therefore, advertising relies on emotions because marketers at the end of the day want you to be able to take the same decision again and again. So interestingly, what happens here is that you may not take the right decision. Yeah. Sometimes we say we fall in love with the wrong kind of people all the time, right? So what this means is that you're thinking with your heart or your emotions, and you find a particular kind of person you like, and you keep getting attracted to the same person. Similarly, so emotions are consistent. Whereas when you rationalize, you may find different kinds of answers to a problem every time when you put your head to it. So I'm going to play an ad now, which is completely on emotions. And first we'll watch the ad and then we dissect it a bit. Okay.
There's a light, a certain kind of light that never shone on me. I want my life to be what God does it do. If I ain't got you, ain't got you, baby, you don't know what it's like. Baby, you don't know what it's like to love somebody, the way I love you. Oh, you don't know what it's like. Baby, you don't know what it's like, the way I love you.
Yep.
There's a
Thanks. So this is a Coca-Cola ad, as you have all noticed. Coca-Cola is always about opening happiness. And this one particular ad, which was an award-winning ad several years ago, is about opening your true nature, or, being your nicest person. So in this particular advertising, when they were brainstorming, what they did was they started asking themselves, when are we the nicest? When are humans the nicest? Is when they are, how they treat their toddler, or how they are with their children, yeah, especially small children. We as parents are not great to adolescents, and definitely not to teenagers. But when they are little babies, parents are the nicest, most selfless people to those children, yeah. So this ad is basically saying that despite all the troubles that one goes through as a young parent, when it's time to do it once again, you embrace it with open arms, and you want to do it all over again, for the joy of being able to give to another human. Yeah. So this is what the ad is about. It connects beautifully with the emotion of Coca-Cola, which is always about family and opening happiness and being with family. And this is what we meant when we said that, brands need to create emotional connections, or advertising needs to create emotional connections. Let's go to the next one. The next, of course, is simple and straightforward. Advertising without creativity is like documentary. Yeah. And not that you can't make documentary interesting, but advertising says it all in anywhere between 15 seconds to 30 seconds, sometimes, in under. So a standard ad will be about 17 seconds long. To be able to say things in such a short time, you definitely need creativity to create these compelling messages. So let's go to the next ad and take a look at that one now.
You never get used to the pressure. You just learn to embrace it. Expectations aren't a burden, they're a privilege. Because it could be worse. No one could expect anything at all.
Have you ever had someone come at you with a sword while fixed to a chair with no option to retreat? No options. Except attack. I love it.
Okay, we'll pause here. Salam, let's pause here. Yeah. Okay. How many of y'all have seen this Nike campaign, which says winning is not for everyone? Yeah. Can you put that in the chat box if some of you have already seen it? I have. Oh, very good. So Riyansh has seen it. Anandini has seen it. Adi, yes. Great. So see, here's a message. There in this series, so there are a lot of them which are small bite size. What you're seeing right now are bite size ads. which are simply of each athlete. And there is one which is of all athletes, where they're saying, am I a bad person? Am I a bad person if I want to win every time? If I want to, if I'm, if I get angry on the ground, or if I get aggressive sometimes, am I a bad person? So the messaging is such that it catches your attention, and it hooks onto you, because it's giving you a very, it's giving you a resonating message, which says that if you have to win, there are several things that you'll have to do, which may not be, socially what we call as the goody good person. But therefore, winning is not for everyone. Yeah. So these are some things that you have to understand, that when you're in society, you're supposed to behave in a certain way. But then again, athletes have so much pressure, so much, so much of expectations on their shoulders that they need to perform time and again. Yeah, great ad by Nike. Nike keeps winning awards one after the other, because they are very, very creative, and more importantly, they stand with social causes. So few years ago, Nike they went with Black Matters, and that became like a big, huge campaign. That's because it resonated with the people. And of course, they used creativity to say what they had to say. Can we go to the next slide? Fantastic. Very well said, Anandini. Anandini says that the statement winning is not for everyone automatically makes the viewer want to be one of the winners. Fantastic. That is so true. So having these kind of lines, these kind of creative expressions makes it more, meaningful and catchy and memorable for consumers to remember your ad, and then to also want to buy these products later. Finally, visual storytelling. Visual storytelling, everybody knows, is about weaving a story in less than 15 seconds. And it's very, very exciting, because even compared to what movie budgets are, advertising budgets are much better. Yeah, so if you take a per second expenditure on advertising as against a feature film or a full-blown movie, you'd find that advertising has better budgets. Yeah, so they get the best directors, they get the best graphics, they get the best camera people, and so on and so forth, to create this, little piece of communication that's both creative as well as persuasive. So storytelling is important, and visual storytelling, what you see with your eyes, is very important. So from the point of neuroscience, which is what we began this whole journey with, is that we spend more than 80%, who knows the real number? Yeah, so more, although we have 5 different senses, more than 80% is taken up by your eyes. What you see is what becomes most important. I'll give you an exercise after this. Don't do it now. But try putting a plug into the socket. Yeah, try plugging a socket into the switchboard with your eyes closed, and see how difficult that is. Although you know that there are 3 pins on your plug, and you know that there are 3 pins in the socket, just getting it right without your eyes is very difficult. So visual plays a very important role in how we see things, how we perceive things, and how we absorb. Therefore, in advertising also, it's very, very important. Today, even with AR, VR devices, you will see that visual is the most important, more than sound, more than touch and feel. Visual is important. All these new things that are coming up, AR, VR, and all the other technology that's coming into advertising, this is again very important. Of course, voice is growing. I'm not denying that voice is becoming important and audio is important, but visual has been and still is very relevant to advertising. Can we see this fantastic ad by Van Damme, which is an amazing visual masterpiece?
I've had my ups and downs, my fair share of bumpy roads and heavy winds. That's what made me what I am today. now I stand here before you. What you see, it's a body crafted to perfection. A pair of legs engineered to defy the laws of physics. And a mindset to master the most epic of splits.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time. We gotta, we
So this is one of those ads. It's more than 10 years old, and it stays with me as one of those visually impactful ads that I have seen in my career. And I keep bringing it back whenever I talk about visual advertising or visual storytelling, of how visually they have captured this idea or notion of the steadiness of the Volvo. And I don't know if you noticed, but both these Volvo vehicles are going in reverse. So they're driving reverse, and at the same time, they're moving sideways so that you can see the split of Van Damme. Again, I don't know how many of you know Van Damme, but in my days, when I used to be much younger, I used to be your age, Van Damme was an action hero. Yeah, like Sylvester Stallone. I don't know how many of you know him either, because these are all people from my age. But he was like celebrated for his stunts. And this is one of those ads which has captured his ability to do it in the best possible way. Yes, that's true. So can we go to the next slide? Oh, we have one more. Okay, before we play this, this is not just about visual. It is about the emotional appeal that we spoke about in the beginning. It is also about creativity, because in this particular ad, you will see how they have used one single idea and converted it into 512 different ads. Yeah, so if you haven't seen this one, you must watch this for the fact that it's emotional, it's creative, and the visual storytelling comes in because it matches the spot of the ad or the context with the ad. Yeah, so you will see one which is in the London Tube, and the content on the ad matches exactly what the emotion is at a London Tube. This is a British Airways ad. British Airways always wins awards for the kind of advertising that they do. And everybody knows, right, that British Airways is from Britain. So most of their life goes in bad weather. And this ad tells you a little bit more about that as well. It's humorous, it's emotional. Just watch it. Thank you so much for that. So it captures in just a few seconds, right? In under a minute, it captures the essence of what Britons go through during the year and how what it means for them to travel to another country that may be sunny or maybe, may have a better sea, greater weather, nicer olives, and so on and so forth. Um, 512 other reasons as well. So this is what in a capsule, what we were talking about when we said it has to be emotional, it has to be creative, it is adapting to different situations. And it's this actually visually is a very simple ad because it only has this one single idea which says, what are the other reasons apart from business and leisure that people travel for? And they brainstorm on it and they get so many different ideas and they convert that into a beautiful award-winning campaign. So this is at the base or the crux of all advertising, that one must remember that you need to bring all these three elements in together to create persuasive communication. Because like I said in the first slide, the whole aim of advertising is to make it persuasive, and persuasion leads to change in behavior. Okay, can we go to the next slide now? Oh, this is very, very interesting. When we talk about design, one thinks about the usual elements of design like layout, color, fonts, etc. But what you're going to see here as an example is really something far more, it's not in your face, it's implicit. And yet you get it. I mean, I don't have to explain this to you. But before we begin this ad, I want you to all think about McDonald's and the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of McDonald's. You can even type it here if you want. If you're thinking of the logo or if you're thinking of in terms of design, what is it that comes to your mind? And okay, great. Trisha says the red and yellow logo, the big M, colorful. Yes, 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 yes. Oh, packaging of the fries logo, the clown. Okay, so let's watch this ad. It's a McDonald's ad. It's very recent. It's from last year. And you're going to see some very clever use of, the logo through human gestures. So can we play the ad now? Yeah. Okay, so there was a little bit of a lag in this ad, and I don't know if you caught it, but the idea here was that our eyebrows, when they are arched, the arched eyebrows are like the golden arches of the McDonald's logo. Yeah, and everybody is actually raising their eyebrows to create that arch, and therefore it means that when they're doing that to each other, then it's lunchtime and you have to head to the nearest McDonald's for your lunch. So it's both memorable in the sense that you have a part of your body, which is your own eyebrow, that represents the McDonald's arch. And at the same time, it is catchy, and it reminds you that every time you do this, it's a very catchy sort of a thing to do. So the brand has captured this simple, easy way in which it can connect with its people and with the logo. Yeah. Thanks. Can we move to the next slide? No, yeah. So finally, we are coming to our topic for discussion, which is the psychology of persuasion. And I'm going to share with you 6 different techniques in which ads can persuade people. So all ads, the things that I discussed before, like the design, the creativity, the ability to tell a story beautifully, storytelling, emotional connect and all have to be in almost every ad. Every ad needs that. But the treatment can be slightly different. So this next section is going to be on the treatment, the psychology of persuasion. And we are going to talk about 6 different techniques that advertising uses to persuade people. But before that, I'm going to take a few questions now. Let's look at the questions. Riyansh says, hi, ma'am. I just started with a business, thinking of a business and was thinking, how can I do market research for it? How do I rely on? Okay, I'm going to put in the chat box my email ID because it is not fully related to our topic today, Riyansh. But you can write to me anytime and I will answer your questions. So this is literally consulting, but it's going to come to you for free, Riyansh, because you signed in today for this session. Flame.edu.in. So my email ID is preeta.menon@flame.edu.in. And please feel free to write to me and I may be able to help you with how you can do market research. Okay. More than what we see or view. Ahan says that our brain remembers more than what we see or view like a video rather than what we read. That is the reason we remember movies. Yeah, but not what we read in a textbook. There are more reasons for why you don't remember what you read in the textbook, Ahan. We don't want to open that Pandora's box. Yeah, what about food items? How will they be designed for? Okay. Yeah, fantastic. This is a great question. Food items, how can they be designed? So many a times I've been in food shoots, okay? And for food to be appealing, it has to have a certain amount of gloss to it. It has to have certain kind of color. So many a times you will, I'm not trying to tell you this, that when we do a shoot, we actually sometimes use food coloring to make it look more attractive. You know, I have a video. So I take some pictures of the food I cook. And most of the time, because I know how advertising works, my food can look very appealing. So, you know, if you want to show that it is hot food, then you can have like coffee or hot chocolate. Then you can have vapors coming out of it or fumes coming out of it. Sometimes you want those droplets. So if you have gone and watched movies in theaters, then when they tell you to buy, you know, during break time, Cinemax has this ad where the popcorns are popping and the Coke is bubbling. So many times I've not wanted anything during break, but soon after this, I feel like a popcorn and some Coke. Yeah. So that is the sound of the bubbles, the sound of the popping, along with the visual of, you know, the straw rising up, tells you that it's a nice, cold, bubbly drink and you want it at that time. So food design helps you to get people to salivate, to want it right now on a hot day. Oh, I haven't put the Santa ad in here. Unfortunately, there was a Coke ad, which is basically a Santa ad. It's an old ad. I haven't added it here, but you get the sense. So basically, the idea is that, you know, Coke was the official sponsor. And this ad is about Santa on the beach, dancing and enjoying in summer. And he goes to pick up a drink. And then naturally, the person at the counter gives him a Coke. And he says, oh, no, I want a Pepsi. And he says, how can you have a Pepsi? You know, because Coke is your official drink. And he says that I'm on vacation and I can do what I want. So it gives you a sense, and it ends with saying that it's the official drink for summers. Pepsi is the official drink for summers. So basically saying that, you know, anybody, Coke and Pepsi have been having this war forever. So many of you, Dhruv as well, has a question about your own business. Yeah, you can use some of the lessons that you find here, Dhruv, depending on what you want your customers to do. The next section of what we are going to do is going to be able to help you to do that. So I think pictorial design like templates. Okay, so Adi, I have read your question. Nowadays, we have a lot of tools like Canva and others that you can use if you're making a still image or you're creating a video. There is AI support. So you can, the better you write your prompt, the better you can get advertising. I can give you a simple example of my first year UG students. Yeah. So literally like some of you who are maybe in your 12th standard and going into first year next year, I had these set of students who I gave in class an exercise where they had to position a brand. So this is a new mobile phone. It's cheap. It's Indian. It's going to be launched. It was launched before it flopped and it's coming back again. So that was the whole concept that was given to them. And they had to come up with a positioning. So my students, this group of students, they position the ad as the first smartphone for a small business. Okay, like somebody who is just a auto driver or, you know, is in the rural area and has a small shop but wants to integrate UPI into his phone or, so basically that. And the students used AI to create ads which had these farmers or small shop owners or auto drivers to say that this is my first smartphone. And so that's another way you can use AI intelligently to create advertising these days, whether it's video or whether it's a print ad, which is a banner ad which you can put on your digital platforms. You can use this without any expense. As long as your prompt is great, you should be able to get a decent enough ad that looks professional and that says the message that you want to say. Yes. So here's Anandi again coming in with a cute little anecdote saying my family and I use Blinkit a lot and all their paper bags have fun and beautiful comic art pertaining to the weather or important events like summer, Christmas, Valentine's Day, etc. Sometimes they have origami instructions as well. What is the strategy? So this is their way to connect with their audience, Anandi. It's no more a bag. You remember it for it being Blinkit and you want to go again to Blinkit than to a Swiggy or a Zepto, which are competitors. But you want to do this because it's become part of your life. I don't know how many of you watch Friends. But Joey buys a particular cereal because he likes to read the crossword or do the crossword at the back of it, or, so cereal boxes used to come with these crosswords. This creates that loyalty towards the brand, not just for the cereal inside, but for the fact that the box is also engaging you in some way or the other. Yeah, so you want to go back to the same brand. So this is one way of creating loyalty. Okay. Yeah, okay. I have some papers that I'll ultimately kind of talk to you about, some research that I have done, Mansi, some of the research that I've done myself. So I'll discuss that with you before we close this session. Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the 6 different ways or techniques in which we can persuade people. Yeah, and these are all important lessons. Some of you who have asked questions, you may find your answers here. Okay, let's go to the next one. Next slide. Next slide. Next one. Yeah, so these are the 6 techniques of persuasion. It's called bandwagon, repetition, testimonial, emotional appeal, humor, and rhetorical. We'll go through each one of them separately. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this particular slide, but we'll do it again. Yeah, so let's go to the next slide. Next slide. Bandwagon. What this basically means is you're telling your customers that everybody is doing it, you should do it too. Yeah, everybody is using my product. For instance, that McDonald's ad was like a bandwagon ad because everybody is getting up and going with these girls who are raising their eyebrows and creating an arch. Okay, so they're walking in front and the whole crowd is following them, trying to say basically that if you're hungry and if it's lunchtime, you better head to a McDonald's. So this, what you're seeing here, fog, is also iconic. It's this was an Indian ad, and this ad basically kept asking, like within the ad, you would hear people saying, you know, क्या चल रहा है, क्या चल रहा है, and आजकल क्या चल रहा है, and then the protagonist will say fog चल रहा है. And this became a very catchy sort of a phrase, but at the same time, it was to say that everybody knows that fog chal raha hai. Fog is the brand. And while Axe at that time was the brand leader, and fog was an unknown brand, nobody even knew about fog, or nobody even used it. But even in colleges and on the streets, if somebody asks, generally we ask each other, kya chal raha hai? The answer invariably would be fog chal raha hai. Yeah. So it had caught on so much, and that also led to more brand recall, and then to the purchase of the product. And when the product delivered on its promise, it captured the market that Axe originally held in the Indian markets. So this is one example where a new brand that was unknown or not well known started doing well because of the kind of advertising they created for themselves. Okay, can I see another one? Yeah, Amul Doodh Pita Hai India is also something correct, that everybody is doing that. Can we go to the next slide? Okay, the next one is repetition. I mean, I don't think anybody uses Nirma anymore. Yeah, I don't think in your households you'd use Nirma, but I'm suspecting that all of you all know this song or this jingle that came with the ad. Washing powder, Nirma, Nirma. Do you know this one? So there are memes on it. This jingle keeps repeating Nirma like 1,000 times in the ad. So much so that everybody remembers the name of the brand. And this again, Nirma, when it was launched in India, was an unknown brand. Yeah. They had started very small in Gujarat, and then they grew in the South Indian market because North market already surf was doing very well. So they needed another market to grow in. And they started with the South, and HUL, which is Hindustan Unilever at that time, thought that, oh, this is an unknown brand. Who's going to care for it? It doesn't have the same quality that we do. And, what's going to happen? They're going to just die and so on. But the ad was catchy. The price was right. The price was cheaper than Surf. And then they completely took over the market. So much so that Surf had to finally buckle down and realize their folly for thinking that this brand can't do anything to them. It ate into their market share and became the market leader in a lot of territories. So Nirma is an example of how, brands can be catchy and have better recall through rhyme. So have a break, have a Kit Kat is also rhyming. Let's look at some others here. Yeah, washing powder, Nirma. Somebody else remembers it. Yeah. Yes, Arjun, you're right. Amul Doodh Pita Hai India is an example of bandwagon. And if you all can think of something for repetition, put it down here in the chat box, and we'll, I can tell you whether it's right or wrong. I mean, you may also know whether it's right or wrong, but in case you want me to yeah, so jingles can be very memorable, but if the jingle has repetition in it, then it's one kind of jingle, or the other is that it may not. Can we go to the next slide? So repetition becomes the second. I'm going to ask you all this in the end, okay? So you have to be able to answer. Third is testimonial. See, sometimes when you are not such a well-known brand or you are not such a great brand, simply saying that, some people who you trust say this, which is giving a testimonial, helps the brand. So let's say you are, and many of them use this. So, when you call a particular line and they say that we are connecting you with the CEO of the company, then you know that there's some trust that whatever this person is going to say with authority, and you listen to them more clearly. If you say that, this was done actually in the US during voting, they sent out emails to people saying that 9 out of 10 people in your neighborhood have already voted. So if you have not voted, you realize that you are the minority who has not yet voted. So you should go out and vote. Saying that basically tells people that there is, it's working with neuroscience largely to say that, oh, so and so person said this is a great brand. Your neighbor thinks this is a good brand. Here's a lady. Dove uses this all the time. They do it all the time. They use regular people. They never use celebrities. They use people who look like your neighbor. And when they say that they are switching, then such personas help us to feel that, okay, if it can work for her or him, then maybe it can work for me as well. Yeah. So personas, experts, well-known personalities, when they support the product, or when they say that, oh, a doctor is saying, doctor recommends this product, Sensodyne, right? Sensodyne is doctor recommended, isn't it? Yeah. Toothpaste saying 9 out of 10 dentists recommended. Again, fantastic, Arjun. Great example. So there's another one, Colgate, where they say 9 out of 10 dentists recommended. So when dentists are recommending, then you feel, yes, I should try and use it. So that's from a well-known expert. Personas can be simply your neighbor, like in this picture. She says, I'm switching, and you feel, okay, it's time for me also to switch from regular soaps to 1/4, quantity of moisturizer in my soap. And that's how Dove captured the market. Yeah, that is true to Anandi. So other times what they do is that they use well-known personalities. So one of the iconic campaigns that I thought did a lot of social good is when they brought in Amitabh Bachchan for the Pulse Polio. So 2 generations before you were born, there were a lot of people in India who were, who got polio and were therefore had mobility disability issues. Yeah. Right from childhood, there are kids who were born normal, who were healthy, normal kids, and then they got polio, and then they couldn't even walk to school. They didn't have enough money to have wheelchairs, and they couldn't even have access to decent education simply because they got polio. And this was a serious issue. The antidote was simple. You just needed to take these few drops of medication at regular intervals in your infancy, which could help you from not getting polio, but people weren't doing it. And finally, the government of India, they brought in a huge personality like Amitabh Bachchan at that time. He had a lot of sort of, he was a very strong person to bring to fore, and he would tell people, can't you, even get your children to take two drops of this polio vaccine. And then the campaign was hit every rural village, every part of India. And today you would notice that there aren't so many, I mean, it's not an issue anymore in India. Polio, we have been able to eradicate through these very successful campaigns. So sometimes, even if you're not an expert, even if you're not the person next door, well-known personalities can also help to make the brand more visible and more effective. Yeah. So these are some of the kinds of testimonials you can get from. So look at your brand, whichever brand you are with, and see whether a person next door will help your brand, or whether getting an expert to speak about your brand will help your brand better, or whether you need to put in some big budgets and hire a celebrity. Yeah. So, and if any one of this answers your question, then you should do that for your brand as well. Okay, can we take the next one? Okay, Daksh is asking a question. I'll just take this question. When they say 9 out of 10 dentists recommend, is there a reason for the first dentist from a marketing aspect, or is it just a legal thing? No, so Daksh, this is a marketing strategy, okay? It's not so much about dentists going out and saying you should use Colgate, as much as Colgate going out and asking dentists would they recommend it. So basically the process is that Colgate as a brand goes to dentists, gives free samples, asks them to use it, get a feel of it, and then go back to them and say, would you recommend it? So when they collect this data, it may not be from all dentists, it's from a small pool of people that they have gone to. They can produce this data against their claim that 9 out of 10 people are recommending it. It's not that dentists are just sitting there and recommending this brand and Colgate is just talking about it. Yeah, so this is a marketing activity that the company does in order to make such claims, to ensure that when they make a claim like this, it is true. But if Daksh, if you were to go out into the market and do a survey, you may find that 9 out of 10 dentists don't recommend Colgate. It may be just 5 out of 10, or it may be 4 out of 10. So it's not about the entire dentist population, but about the people that Colgate spoke to after having given Colgate as, for sampling. So brands are able to get experts to candidly say. So today the same thing happens with influencers. They give products to influencers, they ask them to use it, and then they tell them that if you like it, you say good things. If you don't like it, don't say. But we are giving you these products for free. So many a times there are influencers, the ones that we follow, who may say that, oh, its color is good, but texture is not so great. Or, it works, it's got a good if it's a shampoo, it's got a good fragrance, but the fizziness is the same. Or, the pigment, if it's a lipstick, they may say pigmentation is great, but it doesn't last long enough, and so on and so forth. So influencers have to tell the truth. I mean, their followers expect them to tell the truth. And the brands want that you get some real insights or real reviews of the product, rather than simply they saying that their product is the best in the market. So that's how you find a sort of common ground where you have experts or testimonials coming from not the brand, but from people. But at the same time, you get some positive comments for your brand. You don't want that only bad people who are saying bad about your brand should be there. So you create a situation or a strategy where you yourself initiate testimonials, and people give these testimonials. You use that rather than the company saying, oh, we are a great brand. Yeah, so that's what this is about. 99% bacteria will be killed by a hand wash. Yes, that is true. Who's got this question? Daksh. No. Arjun. Arjun, about 99% and 100%, nothing can clean 100% bacteria. We know that. 100% is not a number that is achievable. Always there is some error in counting, or there is an error in the procedure, or there is an error in the product, something or the other. So 99 is achievable, 100 is not, and 99 is a good enough number. So people go with that number. Yeah, because of legalities, 100 cannot be true. And it's not just legality, it's simply that it's not believable also. 100% is not believable. 99 may be believable. Like people say, oh, really? Like sometimes, when I have an argument with my son, I'm sure he doesn't want to be in this session with you guys, but I'm oversharing here. That sometimes I end up saying, you always do this, and he retorts saying, always? always. And so you cannot say always. 9 out of 10 times you do it. So when you're in an argument, you can pick up on these little things and make them big. So I only mean that he does it all the time. And then he may say, what do you mean by all the time? Well, you may have had similar sort of arguments with your parents. So I think you know what I mean. But yeah, basically that you cannot, it's usually never, with humans, it's never 100%. There has to be a margin for error. Yeah. So, quickly we went into a little bit of a digression, but testimonials is another kind of technique to persuade people. Who can tell me what the other two were? We did two more. Can you put that in the chat box? What were the other two that we did previously? Very good. Between Neha and Zoya, I got my answer. Bandwagon and repetition. Very good. Very good. Fantastic. Okay. So we had bandwagon, we had repetition. Now we have testimonial. Let's move to the fourth one. Can we move to the next slide? This is emotional appeal. This is something that I think we spoke about earlier also. If you look at Indian ads use a lot of emotion. Whereas if you look at European ads, you'll find that they don't use as much emotion. Yeah. So some markets use more emotional appeal, some markets use less of it. But like I told you, emotional appeal has more consistent results than rational appeal, or getting people to reason. So this Meri Masala Maggie is that attempt at creating an emotional appeal, saying it's Meri Maggie. How this came through is because when they did research, when Maggie did research, they found out that everybody in their own homes had a different style for making their Maggie. Somebody put tadka in it. Somebody would put, garnish on it with coriander leaves. Some others put some sauces. Nowadays, they're putting some Korean sauces and making it taste different. And some others have made it soupy style by, dropping some eggs and then adding some extra water to it. So different people had different ways of cooking it. Some others would put Indian masalas and put carrots and peas and everything and make it like a khichdi only. So Maggie was so versatile. In different parts of India, different people, different households, they cook Maggie differently. So this is, very close. Maggie, irrespective of which part of India you are from, what your age group is, what your gender is, everybody has a place in their heart for Maggie. That's why in the branding itself, they called it Meri Masala Maggie. And at the same time, they launched a contest which got people to tell why it is close to them, why Maggie is close to them, why they feel it's Meri Masala Maggie, and what they do, when do they have it, how do they have it. They used all these stories that came from customers and then created ads around it about how customers are experiencing Maggie in their households. Sometimes it's a daughter and a mother bonding. Some other times there are some villagers coming together. Sometimes it's a stranger who's stranded in the Himalayas who finds a, happy Samaritan feeding them Maggie. Some other times it is some other story. So from villages to mountains to urban houses, everybody has a special place for Maggie in their hearts. And that's what this campaign is about. Yeah, Meri Masala Maggie. Yes. Okay, can we go to the next one? That's correct. Anandi, you're bang on the ad and the jingle which goes Maggie, 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 which is also repetition. Bang on. Yeah. Can we look at the next one? Next slide, please. Okay, who does not like humor? Who does not like humor? So humor is another appeal. some brands use humor consistently in their advertising, and they say that that becomes the personality of the brand. Fevicol, for instance, I mean, this is a classic case. No matter what, what ad they have, or what sort of appeal that they want to go, I mean, what sort of story they want to say, it's always humorous. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment. Sorry for the interruption. I'm back. So I think this break would have been good for you all to recall all the ads you all know of Fevicol. I wish I could play you more ads, but there's this one very funny ad which is, there are some carpenters sitting around, and they have their pails or cans of Fevicol, and there's a whole stack of eggs that are kept on top of it. Afterwards, there's one of the carpenters getting up to make something with the egg, and he keeps trying to break the egg. He throws it here, he throws it there, it ricochets everywhere, it bounces on the wall, but it won't break. And he's like really flabbergasted of what's going on. And then they show that these eggs are actually sitting on a Fevicol can, and that's why it's so tight. Here, what you're seeing is a common village scene where there's only one bus in the morning or one bus in the evening, and people have to travel by that one bus. So they're packed like sardines. But the only reason why they're stuck to the bus so beautifully is because there's a Fevicol board on it. Yeah, so it's all humorous takes on how Fevicol can help in sticking, and slice of life images of, things like this. What is the other Fevicol ad that I can recall? Oh, there's another award-winning ad where there's a fisherman. So there's a very English-looking person who's come fishing, who wants silence and who wants peace and quiet because he's fishing. He doesn't want to disturb the people. And then there's a noisy guy who comes and makes noise, singing and all that. And this, this very proper gentleman is like shushing and saying, don't talk and don't make noise. And this guy comes, he just puts in it's just one stick. It's not even a fishing rod. It's just one stick. On the stick, he puts Fevicol on 4 different spots. He drops it in the water, and he comes up with 4 fish on the rod. And he's like so happy, and like, oh, I'm done with my fishing for the day. And this Englishman, like the gentleman is looking at him like, oh my God, what is all this going on? So that's again a funny ad, by Fevicol in the early years, basically trying to send the message that it's the best adhesive in the country. Yeah. So another one that Anandi has remembered is where, they're trying to break the egg again. And they see that the hen was eating seeds from a Fevicol tin. So because it's simply a Fevicol tin is being reused so many times, everybody knows that. And when some hen is eating its seeds from inside that, it lays eggs which can't break. Yeah. So amazing. And memorable as well, right? So that Ramesh, Suresh. Now, if anybody in the class has Suresh name or Ramesh name, and we say Suresh, immediately in chorus we get a Ramesh. Or if there is a Ramesh, we get a Suresh. Yeah, so these are all ads actually that have created this kind of, what do you say, recall or memory, or the fact that that you remember 5-star every time you have a funny ad, is basically the whole point of humor in advertising. So I have done one paper with humor in advertising, which is also negative humor. I'll take some moments here to talk about some of the research I've done. This paper was basically with my student, and we worked on negative humor in advertising. And if you create memes or digs at other brands, how does that affect the brand? Okay, so Coke and Pepsi fight all the time. Burger King and McDonald's fight all the time. So when they make humor, Jaguar and Mercedes fight all the time. So when they create digs at other, or they create ads that are making fun of the other brand, how does it affect the sales of that brand? That's what the question was. And we found out that when the brand is new, or when the brand is unknown, or the other way around. Initially, we had looked at Apple, iPhone, and people making fun of iPhone, and people making fun of Jaguar, etc. And we noticed that people are laughing about it. People remember the ad. People are aware of all this. But when they go to purchase, it doesn't make that much of a difference. People still end up buying an iPhone. Although there are some others who are making fun of it. Yeah. But when it is an unknown brand, yeah. So when you're a new brand, or when you're like a slightly not, you don't have loyal customer base, and then somebody makes fun of you, then the chances that people will not buy your brand are also high. Yeah. So um, image coming down is one kind of harm done to a brand, but sales coming down is another kind of harm. So if it comes together, that image as well as sales are coming down, then the brand needs to be cognizant of this fact and do something about it. So there was one research piece that was like that we worked on. Earlier, somebody had asked me a question about if you're an unknown brand and you don't have all the elements that you need. Okay, you don't have a creative ad, or you don't have a what happens? So we created a quadrant of 4 kinds of ads. One of also on the x-axis, you have a known brand and an unknown brand. On the y-axis, you have an interesting ad and an uninteresting ad. Okay, an ad that's not made well, and an ad that is made well. So we want to know, as YouTube advertising does. So they have a pre-roll, they have a mid-roll, they have a post-roll. So in a pre-roll, what kind of ads will get clicked away and what kinds of ads will get watched? Yeah. You can click it away after 4 seconds, right? So on your 5th second, you can click the ad away. So this research we studied was to find out whether which ad will get watched till the end, or at least more than the others. Interestingly, what we found out that if it's a bad ad, if it's a good ad, everybody watches it. Okay. Because it's interesting, there's great storytelling, there's creativity, whether it's a known brand or an unknown brand, people watch it. But if you make a bad ad, which means you have not invested well in your advertising, then the chances that a well-known brand's ad will get clicked away is higher. This was interesting. It was counterintuitive. Because one would have thought that big brands are scratch proof. People, it wouldn't affect them. But what we found out was that if you are a well-known brand, people already know the brand. There's no curiosity left. And if you make a dull ad, or if you make a non-creative ad, then people click out of it faster. Whereas if it's a new brand, there's some benefit of doubt. People are seeing, what is this brand? What is it trying to say? There's some curiosity, because they don't know the brand yet. So the chance of clicking away from an unknown brand, even though the ad is uninteresting, is lesser than the chance of clicking a known brand when it's uninteresting. So this was basically to tell large brands that they can't be complacent. They can't think that, oh, we have achieved everything and now we can stop spending money on advertising and we can do what we like and all that. They have to be careful to create great ads, even if you're a big brand, to be meaningful to your customers. I mean, small brands also have to do good advertising, but big brands definitely better need to do good advertising. So that in a nutshell is where we are coming to. Can we take a look at the next few slides before we close the session and I take the rest of the questions? Okay, rhetorical question. How will you eat yours? Yeah, so this is a rhetoric, which means that they're really not asking you this question, but they're going to give you a lot of ways in which you will be able to eat this. Here it's a cream egg, but then there are different ways. I mean, like Maggie could have done this. How will you eat yours? Yeah, so it's a rhetorical question, and many ads use this as well.